The air in the Forrester home was thick with anxiety, the kind that clung to the walls and seeped into every nook, no matter how elaborate the decor. The chandeliers shined, and the marble floors glittered, but nothing could conceal the family's impending crisis. Thomas Forrester stood in the center of the living room, his fists clenched at his sides and his jaw set as he confronted his father, Ridge Forrester. The man who had always been his anchor, mentor, and sometimes harshest critic, now stood across from him, arms crossed, eyes furrowed with fury and incredulity. "You don't get it, do you, Dad?" Thomas's voice was low like a growl, yet it bore the weight of years of suppressed emotion. "You never did. You believe this is because I'm envious or petty, but it's not. It's about what's right, what's authentic." Ridge's face stiffened, and his distinctive intensity emanated from him. "What is real, Thomas? You're storming in here, making allegations and tearing up everything I've built? Do you think that's real? Do you think that is helping anyone?" The remarks cut deep, but Thomas did not flinch. He'd spent too many years suppressing his emotions, burying his misgivings, and striving to be the son Ridge desired. But today was different. Today the truth was too light to ignore. He stepped closer, his gaze fixed on his father's. "You're marrying her again, Father. Taylor. After everything. After all the times you've broken her heart and argued with Brooke, you're standing there acting like this is some wonderful love story. It is not. It is an error." Ridge's demeanor faltered for a moment, a flash of something, guilt perhaps or doubt, crossing his face before he gathered himself. "You do not get to decide that, Thomas. You do not get to stand there and tell me how I feel or what I should do with my life. Taylor and I have experienced more than you can imagine. We fought for this. She fought for this. And what about Mom?" Thomas snapped, his voice rising now raw and unrestrained. "How about Brooke? Do you think she'll just sit back and watch you walk down the aisle with Taylor? Do you think this will end with a fairy tale wedding in which everyone claps and pretends the past never happened? You're delusional, Dad. You're preparing everyone for pain again." The room went silent, the weight of Thomas's words hanging between them like a guillotine. Ridge's hands dropped to his sides, and for a brief moment, he appeared less like the arrogant patriarch of the Forrester company and more like a man caught in the ruins of his own decisions. "Thomas," he whispered quietly, almost imploring, "I'm in love with Taylor. I've always loved her. This is not intended to harm anyone. This is about finally putting things right for her." Thomas shook his head, and a bitter laugh from his lips. "Are you doing right by her? Dad, you don't even understand what that implies. You've spent your entire life hopping between Mom and Taylor, tearing them apart each time you change your mind. And you think a ring and some vows will heal it? You aren't doing this for Taylor. You're doing it for yourself. To feel like the good guy for once." The charge struck Ridge like a physical blow, and he took a step back, searching his son's face for something. Understanding, perhaps, or forgiveness. But Thomas's look remained unwavering, full with the raw honesty that comes from years of witnessing someone you care about make the same mistakes over and over. Taylor Hayes sat on the edge of her cream-colored sofa, staring at the engagement ring on her finger. The diamond caught the light, flashing with a promise that should have made her heart happy. Instead, it felt like a big chilly weight bearing down on her chest. She twisted the ring, her fingers quivering slightly as she stroked the stone's edges. This was supposed to be her moment, her chance to finally have the life with Ridge she'd wanted for decades. So why did it feel wrong? The door slowly opened and Steffi, her daughter, walked inside, her face filled with concern and resolve. "Mom," she said, her voice kind yet forceful. "I have been calling you for hours. Why haven't you responded?" Taylor attempted a grin, but it did not reach her eyes. "I'm sorry, sweetheart. I just needed some time to think." Steffi moved quickly across the room, sitting near her mother and holding her hand. "Think about what? What about the wedding? Mom, you are meant to be happy. This is what you have always desired. Dad has finally chosen you. He is committed to you." Taylor's smile faded, and she gazed down at their connected hands, her daughter's strength supporting her even as her own will weakened. "Is he, Steffi? Is he truly committed? Or is this simply another chapter in the same old story?" Steffi's brow wrinkled as her protective instincts kicked in. "What are you talking about? Dad loves you. He's been open about it. He proposed to Mom. He is preparing a future with you. What makes you mistrust this? Taylor groaned, his voice thick with years of pain and hope knotted together. It isn't about questioning his love. I know Ridge loves me in his own way. But love is not enough, Steffi. Not when it's based on pain. Not when each stride forward feels like another fall. Steffi shook her head, her voice raised in annoyance. Mom, you cannot do this to yourself. You cannot keep second-guessing everything. Dad has made his choice. Brooke is not in the picture. This is your time. But Taylor's eyes welled up with tears, and she yanked her hand away, standing to pace the room. Is she, Steffi? Is Brooke truly out of the picture? Because I've heard this before. I've been through that before. She appears whenever I believe Ridge and I have a chance of being happy. She is always there. And I am tired, Steffi. I'm so tired of fighting for a man who was never truly mine. Steffi stood, her emotions rising to the surface. Then stop fighting, Mom. Just be with him. Trust him. He is not the same person he was 10 years ago. He has grown. He knows what he wants now. Taylor paused her pacing and turned to face her daughter, her expression one of profound sadness. Does he? Or is he simply fleeing from what he does not want? I've spent my entire life loving Ridge, Steffi. I've given him everything, my love, my trust, and my future. And every time I come here, I wonder if I am enough. I wonder whether I'll ever be enough. The words hung in the air, raw and unfiltered, and Steffi's eyes softened in recognition. She crossed the room and pulled her mother into a tight embrace. You're enough, Mom. You have always been enough. If Dad cannot see this, he does not deserve you. Taylor held to her baby, tears streaming down her cheeks as the truth she'd been avoiding for weeks, if not years, finally hit in. She adored Ridge. She always would. But love was insufficient to mend the wounds of a lifetime spent seeking a man who could never truly pick her. And while she held Steffi, she realized what she needed to do. Back at the Forrester mansion, the conflict between Thomas and Ridge had erupted, with voices rising as years of unresolved sorrow flowed forth. Thomas paced the room, his hands running through his hair as he tried to keep his emotions under control. Do you think this is easy for me, Dad? Standing here and calling you out? I've spent my entire life trying to make you proud and be the son you could count on. But I can't see you do it again. I can't watch you hurt Taylor, Mom, and all of us because you can't make up your mind. Ridge's face was a mask of irritation, but there was a flaw in his armor, a sign of vulnerability that Thomas rarely noticed. I don't mean to injure anyone, Thomas. I'm attempting to create something real with Taylor. I am striving to give her the life she deserves. Then why does it feel like you're settling? Thomas responded, his voice harsh. You're marrying Taylor because you believe it's the proper thing to do. Not because it's your preference. And she deserves better than that, Father. She deserves someone who chooses her without hesitation, without turning back to Mom every 5 seconds. Ridge flinched as the reality of Thomas's words hit him harder than he cared to accept. Do you think I don't love Taylor? Do you think I would ask her to marry me if I didn't? I think you love her, Thomas continued, his voice softer and nearly broken. But I believe you adore Mom. And there is the problem. You have never been able to let either of them go, and it is ripping everyone apart. Including you. The silence that followed was deafening, making the space feel smaller and the air heavier. Ridge dropped into a chair, hands covering his face, attempting to digest his son's comments. For so long, he'd convinced himself that marrying Taylor was the solution, the way to finally find peace. But Thomas's charges reflected the doubts he'd hidden deep inside and refused to confront. Ridge's phone buzzed on the table before he could answer, and the screen displayed Taylor's name. He paused, staring at Thomas, who was watching him with such intensity that his chest ached. Ridge picked up the phone and answered softly. Taylor? Hey, I am with Thomas. Can I? Ridge, Taylor's voice cut through, steady yet emotional. We should talk. Now. The journey to Taylor's apartment felt endless, with each mile stretching out while Ridge's mind raced with possibilities. Thomas's comments echoed in his mind, blending with Taylor's sobbing phone call. He held the steering wheel, his knuckles white, as he sought to brace himself for what was to come. But deep down he knew. He had always known. When he arrived, Taylor was waiting for him in the living room, her posture serene but her eyes revealing the storm within. She stood as he entered, her hands clasped in front of her, the engagement ring still gleaming on her finger. "Ridge," she murmured, her voice calm yet gentle. "Thank you for coming." "Of course," he answered, his heart pumping. "What is going on? Are you okay?" Taylor took a deep breath and searched his face for something she had long since lost. "I've been thinking of us. About this wedding. About everything we've gone through. And I've realized something." She stopped, her voice cracking slightly. "I can't do this." Ridge's heart halted, and his breath caught in his throat. "Taylor, what are you saying? We are getting married. We have arranged everything. This is what we both want." She shook her head, a sorrowful grin forming on her lips. "That's what I thought I wanted. It's something I'd always desired. But Ridge, I can't keep pretending like this is enough. I can't keep pretending that I'm content with being your second choice, your fallback if things with Brooke don't work out. That's not what this is," Ridge argued, moving closer and grabbing for her hand. Taylor moved back, her determination hardened. "It is, Ridge. It has always been like way. And I've spent my entire life convincing myself that it's fine, that your love is enough to compensate for the uncertainty and anguish. But it isn't. I deserve more. I deserve someone who chooses me without hesitation, with no thoughts of anyone other in their heart." Ridge's eyes filled with tears, and his voice broke as he said, "I love you, Taylor. I have always adored you. I am here, aren't I? I've chosen you." Taylor's tears overflowed, but her voice stayed solid. "You're here because you believe it's the correct thing to do. However, love is not about doing the right thing. It is about wanting someone so badly that nothing else matters. And I don't believe you've ever wanted me that way. Not entirely." The words hung between them, weighty and definite, and Ridge felt the ground move beneath his feet. He wanted to fight, to tell her she was mistaken, but the truth was staring him in the face. He loved Taylor, but he couldn't let go of Brooke. The truth had cost him more than he could bear. "Taylor," he said quietly, his voice rough, "please, do not do this." She removed the ring from her finger, her hands quivering as she placed it in his palm. "I have to, Ridge. For me. For my heart. I can't keep wrecking things for you." As she took a step back, the distance between them felt like a gulf, enormous and impassable. Ridge stood motionless, the ring searing in his hand, as Taylor turned away, her shoulders trembling with silent tears. The wedding ended before it ever started, and with it, a piece of their history shattered. Back at the Forrester home, Thomas sat alone in the gloomy living room, his mind repeating his meeting with his father. He wanted to shield Taylor from the sorrow that comes with falling in love with Ridge Forrester. But as he sat there, staring at the empty area where his father had stood, he questioned whether he'd done the right thing. Did he push too hard? Has he broken something that cannot be repaired? The door opened and Steffi entered, her face pale and her eyes crimson from crying. Thomas stood, his heart sinking at her expression. "Steffi, what's wrong?" She drew a nervous breath and spoke just above a whisper. "Mom ended it. She called the wedding off." Thomas's breath hitched as a wave of relief and sadness washed over him. "She did." Steffi nodded as tears streamed down her face. "She stated she couldn't do it anymore. She claimed she deserved better. And I think she's correct." Thomas drew his sister into his arms and held her tightly while she wailed. He had no idea what the future held for his family, Taylor, Ridge, or any of them. But in that moment, he knew one thing was certain. The anguish of love, the weight of decisions, and the scars of a lifetime spent chasing the wrong things would linger long after the tears had dried. As the night wore on, the Forrester mansion stood motionless, a monument to the dreams and heartbreaks of a family connected by love but ripped apart by it. Taylor's decision was a watershed moment in an otherwise shadowy life. Even though the path ahead was uncertain, she had taken the first step in reclaiming her heart, strength, and future. The story of Ridge and Taylor, Thomas and Steffi, love and loss, was far from over. But for the time being, the wedding has been cancelled, promises broken, and the truth revealed. In the Forresters' world, nothing was ever simple or completely settled. But in the solitude of that night, Taylor rediscovered a piece of herself she'd long forgotten, and that was enough.